One will be starting in just a little bit. Hang around and we'll be right here. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Welcome, Tim. Welcome, Sharon.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome.
Hi there.
Hello, hello.
How's everyone doing today?
You all. I did that earlier too. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and everybody remember that if we curse on this show, the AI might pick up on it and say we're plus 18. Just so you all know.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you remind us.
I know it's tricky. I forget all the time myself.
I don't think I have yet, right?
I don't think so, but it's good to remind folks anyway.
Yes.
So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here today for another beautiful day of learning to protect each other's dignity, and so we're going to be talking about that today and exploring that, and I'm joined by Sharon and Tim, and as we come on today, I want folks to feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We're going to introduce ourselves in person, but basically, feel free to introduce yourselves in the chat. Feel free to say hello, and share your name and pronouns. And what we'll be doing, what we're here today to do, is to learn to protect each other's dignity. So I'll share my name, pronouns, and what brings me here today. And I'm Amelia, she, hers. And what brings me here today is the opportunity to learn more about dignity and how we protect each other's dignity so we can live in a society where justice is the norm.
Here.
Yeah.
I'm Tim, he, him, and definitely echo what Beaei, Amelia said about rebuilding society from a protecting dignity standpoint. We can totally do this if we practice.
I'm Sharon, also here to participate in learning how to protect dignity, and in the hopes that it becomes so widespread that we have justice, like Beaei said, and like everybody here practices as best as possible. That's it. Except I don't know why I'm shorter than everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, we. I think you're going to have to raise your chair up, Sharon. Or there. Begrudgingly raised.
It does take a little.
Myself, if I raise the chair, I think my knees will be at the keyboard, and that's not.
No, don't stress yourself out, Sharon. Just don't stress. Don't
but I was just wondering how come I'm not that much shorter.
Yeah. And I
it
see.
It's tricky to get in the center.
Yeah. So, So with that, let's take a look now. I want to share with everybody a little bit about our container today, the container we're working with. And I'm going to share these slides here. So this is a container we use if you feel called to introduce yourself and to ask any questions about the container, you're welcome to bring anything up about this if folks are like curious about it or don't know what it means. Very glad to help folks understand it. And if folks feel like we can build on it, that's even better. So with that, we'll take turns reading it out loud. And then afterwards, we can talk about what we noticed. Cooperating to balance all our interests with the precious time we share.
Learning to challenge hate with dignity.
We can all do better. It's okay not to be perfect.
Making sure we all get home safely.
Willingness to learn to accept folks of different genders, classes, sexual orientations, ages, religions, ideologies, and abilities.
And finally, asking before introducing graphic topics, both sexual or violent, for instance. Yeah, what's everybody noticing about this? Or is there anything that's coming to folks' minds? And if you're in the audience, feel free to share in the chat anything that comes to mind. Yeah, what comes to mind for folks, if anything? For me, I'll just share some of the things that I think about with this. Is I think about this notion of cooperating to balance all our interests in the precious time we share. So there'll be times where we're challenged to get everything done together that we're here for. And so we might ask that of folks. And don't worry, if we ask that, you're not in trouble. We may just be trying to keep things moving along. Is there anything else that stands out to folks? And I see Tim's sharing in the chat. I said, feel free to introduce yourself. And Tim said, what's the catch? That sounds too good to be true.
Yeah, we're not used to public conversations that intentionally hold community together and to practice these skills. And they're all really well laid out in this container.
Yeah. It's a rare treat to be able to practice these skills. And it sounds like nobody has any objections for our container. And so I think we can move on. Is there any other things that people want to draw attention to?
I was looking at it on a more macro level.
Go ahead. Yeah.
The first thing that then I think Tim reiterated about cooperating to balance all our interests with the precious time we share. I forgot for a moment when I was reading it that it's about what we're doing here and now. I was thinking in terms of everywhere, doing that everywhere.
Yeah. Right. It's like there's this work extends past the session, right? Goes all the way out beyond whatever we bring in here, and bring with us. We bring things from the outside into this session, and we take things from the session out into the world.
And that is sort of our ultimate goal, to have that all happening.
Yeah.
To balance all our interests in the time we share.
Yeah. It's a challenge, but we're here for it. So with that, we're asking this question: what is dignity? And now the three of us here have been thinking about this question for a while, and I'll even share some things that folks have said more recently. But what for folks? What is dignity to both of you and to anybody in the audience? What is dignity?
Dignity. I'm sorry.
After you. Good.
Both processed at the same time. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Dignity is being treated like the precious human that I am.
Wow. Wow. Being treated like the precious human that I am. Beautiful.
And treating others that way.
Yeah. So treating each other like the precious humans that we are. What else? What is dignity?
Being in right relationship.
Being in right relationship.
With ourselves and with each other and with the rest of the non-human living world.
So I'm hearing from you that that part of dignity is kind of like normal and inherent, right? Like that it's a part, like it's a normal part of the universe, that like to say it's right relation, right? To say that it's that there's something that's like that's tending towards.
I would say there's a lot of evidence that suggests that that's our true nature. That's how we evolved, and this is just a process of remembering and getting back to that equilibrium of right relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's this equilibrium of getting back to that right relationship. And speaking of which, right, when we're thinking about it as something that's kind of innate, right? I challenge anybody in the audience right now to look at this picture of this child and say to us about this child, you know, is not this child infinitely valuable? Could we calculate the worth of this child? So precious is the beauty of a young child, and the joy and the love and the power of that. Would anybody disagree with such a notion? So, if that's the case, then we're talking about dignity as something that's inherent, that it's something that we're born with and that we always have, and that that's part of dignity. Earlier today, I had asked a group, the morning group of this work, I'd asked us if what dignity was, and somebody mentioned respect, but they actually said respect for others and ourselves, right? Which I thought was a really kind of forward answer. But a lot of people will say dignity is respect. And Donna Hicks, in her book Dignity, argues that dignity is not respect, that it's inherent, and that respect has to be earned, right? So the example I used earlier today, and I'll use it again, is that I don't respect war criminals. Like, I can look eye to eye with a war criminal and say, wow, you have the power to do a million good things today. You have inherent worth. Your life could have taken a lot of different courses. I can see that you want to be heard and have a lot of the same needs as me. And that's really beautiful. And also I can say, I'm not going to encourage you to lead anybody. I'm not going to encourage anybody to be led by you. I'm not going to enable you in any way in doing some of the harmful things that have been done. So are there any other thoughts or questions on this general subject of dignity before we jump into the elements of dignity? Oh, Tim, you're muted.
Okay. Thanks. Just the follow-up of that, you're almost giving the war criminal the benefit of the doubt, which is one of the ways we protect dignity, and you're also holding them accountable at the same time. So there's a way to do to do both, just in case anybody was
Yeah.
worried.
Right. Yeah, that's critical, right? Like we're not letting war criminals off the hook here. Let's just be clear here. That's not the point. And thank you for that, Tim. Yeah. So with that, I'm going to bring back up to the stage the elements of dignity. Let's just read them out loud once and put them on the table for everybody, shall we?
Acceptance of identity.
Recognition.
Acknowledgement.
Inclusion.
Safety.
Fairness.
Independence.
Understanding.
Benefit of the doubt.
Accountability. So what are folks noticing about the elements of dignity here? Is anything just in what these are? We're not going to go yet into where they connect to things, or we're not going to go to how they might solve a problem. But what are you noticing about these? What are these?
These all seem like words that I could support, like that appeal to me. All of these elements are something that I'd like to have.
So like in the words of that great scholarly figure Winnie the Pooh, that it's a good thing. These are good things. You know, all capital letters. You know, you used to have it. You know, it's a good thing. So if these are good things, then it certainly benefits us to study them. Anything else here, or should we pick one maybe to explore right now? Is there one that we feel strongly about picking to explore? And Sharon, if you feel called to enact one of them and want to pick one for us to go after first, because I know you might have other things to do and might have to leave a little bit early, feel free to pick one first.
Yeah, I heard you earlier today mention independence, and I love that word, and I was happy to hear it from you and wondered, what you were thinking about it, so I'd like to explore that.
Yeah, let's explore this. Independence.
Encourage people to act on their own behalf so that they feel in control of their lives and experience a sense of hope and possibility.
Yeah, what do we notice here? And if you're in the audience, by the way, feel free to share what you notice. Like, I notice one thing that really stuck out for me is that Donna is connecting experience of hope and possibility to independence. I noticed that.
And a feeling of control of their lives.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're saying that independence relates to our sense of control of our lives, and it relates to a sense of hope and possibility. And is there anything else that sticks out to anyone in this?
That it's, I'm not sure what the word is, but that it's something that someone does on their own behalf, it says there, rather than someone doing for them.
Yeah, right. Somebody's doing this on their own behalf, that we're encouraging someone to do something on their own behalf. Not to say, gosh, you're a burden, I want to get rid of you, but to say, gosh, I want this person to be in control of their own life and to experience a sense of hope and possibility. So with that, should we do a role play? Do we want to do the one that we've written down? Who wants to be in the role play? Who feels called? Somebody want to join with me?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
All right, Sharon, I'm going to take you off the stage for a second while we do this role play. Tim, can we take the text? Can I take the slides down? Which do you want to be, A or B?
I can be A.
Okay, you're going to be A. And okay, then I'll be B. And we're going to do this role play. And Sharon, I'm going to take you off the stage for just a second, but I'll see you in just a moment. And here we are. So whenever you're ready, you can go.
Amelia, you can't do anything without me having to handle it.
Thank you for caring, Tim. I'm going to handle this on my own first.
Fancy.
What? Let me bring Sharon back up. Sharon, what did you notice?
I noticed that what Tim said was potentially offensive.
Definitely some dignity violations going on there.
Yeah. Yeah, what kind of dignity violation? What would you say when Tim said you can't do anything without me having to handle it? Why is that a dignity violation?
It's a criticism of a lot about you, about your character, your abilities, your competence, your taking responsibility. Who knows, all kinds of things.
Yeah, so it's very critical, and it's a critique of my competence, my character, and of course my independence too. So okay, go ahead. How did I? Okay, go ahead. Yeah, you go ahead too.
But you didn't take the bait.
No, I didn't. Right? What happened? What did I do?
You gave me the benefit of the doubt. You protected my dignity and saying thank you for caring, even though it came out very critical and offensive.
Yeah. Yeah. Would there be anything? And this is true for folks in the audience too. If you're in the audience, feel free to ask this. Does anyone want me to try this role play a little bit differently? How else could the role play have gone? What else could I have done to respond?
You could have responded more negatively, like
yeah,
you denied it, and like which you didn't.
Do you want to see a version of it where I do it more negatively? All right, let's let me. I'm going to put up a little card for us. So we've got a card here.
This will be take 2 or B2 response.
Yeah, B2.
Partner B. Variation number 2 or version 2. And what we're probably going to notice is that there are other responses, some that protect dignity less than others.
Yeah, right. In fact, what we can actually do if we feel called to this is we can even, if we wanted to, we could even use the dignity index to talk about the different responses and different ways in which we showed contempt for each other or we honored each other's dignity. So that's something that we can explore a little bit, maybe today. But yeah, whenever you're, Sharon, I'm going to take you off the stage for a sec. And Tim, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Beaei. I just want you to know that you don't seem to be able to do anything without me having to handle it.
Tim, you are such a controlling jerk. How dare you say to me that I can't do anything on my own? You just want me to not be able to do anything on my own so that you'll keep me around all the time.
Ooh. And seeing, I could go somewhere with that, but let's just one step at a time.
Yeah, right. I didn't mean to like actually, no.
Blew me out of the water.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was very mean of me. I'm sorry.
No, I could have easily acquiesced.
All right, let me bring Sharon back on. Sharon, welcome back.
Thanks. We were asking for a negative response. You gave it to us.
Oof. Yeah. What did you notice?
You got haughty in that response.
Yeah, I was pretty haughty, wasn't I? What was haughty about me?
Your body language is just struck me right away. You could kind of put your hands on your hips, I think, backed up a little bit.
Yeah, there was something that got into me on that where I really was like, you are not going to tell me, Mr. Tim,
There are names thrown down. Control freak.
Yeah.
Were you protecting your dignity in doing that?
Well, I mean, like, I certainly wasn't protecting Tim's dignity, right?
Right.
And was I honoring my dignity? Because Donna Hicks would say that I was taking the bait here.
Oh.
And that what I did in doing that was I got back at Tim. I got revenge at him, which I felt was equal payback. And I'm not saying it wasn't, but in some sense, even though Tim didn't see my dignity, I didn't see his either. I didn't honor his either.
So in this version too, there was an initial indignity or violation of dignity, and then there was an escalating response this time. And I could have reciprocated. We could have escalated even further, but it was enough to just end scene and just to kind of compare the first response.
Right. Yeah, no, we don't need to make a soap opera here. Though, I mean, if I thought that we could raise more funds for ending hate by doing more soap opera stuff and people asked us to, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But I don't think that's what necessarily people are hoping for.
We might need props for that.
Yeah,
we could go there.
Yeah, right. Like there's a lot that can be done. Yeah. So, let's ask ourselves. So coming back to independence, right? Let's just circle back into independence now. So okay, so we've seen the initial response, right? Are there any other responses folks can think of right now that they want us to explore? Are there any other options that we have in terms of exploring this? Can anyone think of any?
There are probably 10 different ways to violate someone's element of independence, element of dignity regarding independence. Mm-hmm. And I just was reading one of them, on the script, but would it be worth trying out a variation or two of the original in dignity, and or well, yeah, I guess that's my question.
Yeah, I think I can think of one more solution to this. So maybe we try one more solution to this.
Oh, great.
And
yeah,
then maybe what we do, and then maybe what we do is we pick another dignity and dignity.
Okay.
Unless there's more we think we can get out of it this time. But I think this is good. So give me 1 second to think of, I had it just a second ago, so I'm just like, so okay, yeah. I'm going to pull you off the stage, Sharon. So we'll see you in a sec. And Tim, whenever you feel called and are ready, let me know. And I'm ready for you.
Beaei, you can't do anything without me having to handle it. Why is that?
Wow, Tim, I'm hearing maybe frustration in your voice at my lack of independence. And you're asking me why. And sometimes I admit that that I'm not very independent. And you know what? I'm going to try to do this on my own this time and do better. Thanks.
Okay.
Yeah, and now I could also imagine, by the way, there's a contingency where, like, I can imagine this as that you've said something to me that's true, but there's also a possibility of something where there's something more complex there in the interplay. And I want to bring Sharon back onto the stage. Sharon, what did you notice?
Almost like the what you just did this time was a combination of the first two.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was trying to just bring in the accountability there and also acknowledge Tim's frustration. I don't know how well I did that part, but
I felt acknowledged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Anything else we want to do on independence for this moment? If that's the case, then let us go back to the list. So, Sharon, are you going to stay around for a little bit longer, or do you have one more dignity and dignity cycle in you, or do you want to get going soon? You can get going soon if you need to.
Yeah, I think you had said maybe this would end at 3, but I don't know if it still will. And so I was thinking that I would be here till then.
Okay.
Leave earlier, so whichever.
No, that's fine. Why don't we say that we're going to do one more dignity and dignity, and if we finish it just at 3, that's cool. If we finish it a little bit after, and you have to leave a little bit after 3, that's okay. Or leave immediately at 3, but we finish it a little bit after, that's fine too.
Yeah, a little bit is fine.
Okay.
I want to be somewhere at 4 and do some things between that. So that's sort of what.
Okay, I see. Yeah, is that all good with you, Tim?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, and then we can start wrapping up at 3 a little bit. And if Sharon needs to leave at 3 exactly, that's fine. So which one, Sharon, why don't you pick? Which element of dignity do you want us to explore next?
Inclusion. So you guys can choose.
Oh, you said inclusion or safety?
Yeah.
Tim, which would you prefer?
They're both really good. I guess inclusion.
All right, let's do it.
A little bit more challenging for me. Inclusion definition says, make others feel that they belong at all levels of relationship, family, community, organization, and nation.
Yeah, what are you noticing here?
there's a variety of levels of relationship from local to global.
Yeah, right? Like family, community, organization, nation. What else do we notice?
Couldn't we say international?
Sure. Yeah. Because that's another level of relationship, right?
Something we all have in common.
And
Yeah.
you could, in front of family, just in terms of hierarchy, you could say personal relationship, like not just the whole family, but maybe a relationship between siblings or between partners.
Yeah.
What about relationship to self?
Well, you can, if you're not including yourself, that is possible. That is possible to not be including yourself. I mean, it's a form of, like, I remember Michel de Montaigne, the father of the essay. He said once, our worst moments are when we wish against our own being.
Totally. When you don't have self-esteem, it's like when you're not accepting yourself or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So making others feel that they belong at all levels of the relationship. Okay. Do we want to do a role play now? And who wants to be in it? Sharon, do you want Tim and I to be in it, or do you want to try one?
If you guys are okay,
Go for it.
Yeah, no. If it feels more comfortable for you to sit back, that's okay. That's fine. Remember, Sharon, you can always show up on the show and just be an interlocutor, not necessarily a role player.
An interlocutor, I can hardly say that word.
Interlocutor, yeah.
Right. Is what?
Like one of the people in the debate, right? Or like in the dialogue. Really, it's a person in our dialogue, right?
It seems to be my preference,
Yeah.
because I end up doing that. And would that mean I'm not on the stage, but I would
No,
still...
no, you stay on stage.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Not everybody who's on stage should be doing the role play, because you only need a couple of people to do the role play, really. But anybody could do the role play. That's kind of the fun of it. So I might ask you if you have an idea to try your idea out in a role play, but I think that's different. So and you don't have to do that even. So Tim, are you ready to do a role play, to do this role play? Do we need the script? Do you want to be A or B?
I could be A again. That's fine.
Okay, cool. Whatever you like. So now, Sharon, I'm going to take you off the stage again. We'll see you in a second. And so, do you have? You've got your lines for A?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Beaei. I'm not inviting you.
Tim, if you want to come by our party, you're welcome.
End scene.
Yeah. And Sharon, what are you noticing? Or anyone in the audience?
This time, Beaei, that you took a breath. You backed up a little bit and took breath. I noticed that right away.
Mm-hmm.
Which tells us that you need to adjust, consider and adjust your maybe initial reaction or something.
Yeah, there was a part of me, honestly, that when I was doing the role play, I actually was almost going to acknowledge Tim more, but I didn't want to solve it that far, I almost whimsically added an acknowledgement there, but I wanted to leave this one a little bit messier. What else do you notice? What do you notice, Tim, in that one?
That you did a lot less antagonizing or escalating. It was kind of even keel. It was you weren't holding me accountable, but you weren't calling me out either. So it was a relief. It kind of like I felt when you said, "Well, I want to," if you want to come to our party, you're welcome. I was like, huh, I feel kind of like a jerk now. A little, there's a subtle like take back. Yeah.
That's interesting, right? So like even that modicum, that tiny little crust of dignity in that was nice, right?
Yeah.
What could I have done to, what would have been necessary for me to offer you more dignity? And Sharon, you can answer that too. What might have helped in offering you more dignity? Or should I have stood up to Tim more? How could I have stood up to Tim more?
If we had been more specific to what you were not being invited to, like, you know, climate change in the tropics, and you're not invited to the northern.
Let's do that. Let's do that. Okay. Do you want to add that again and try it again real quick?
We could do another version of A where there's more specificity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Would that feel better for you?
I think it would give us more to work with, more material to respond to, maybe.
Okay, let's try it. Now we talked before a little bit about maybe letting an improv go on a little bit longer. Do we feel maybe let's do the short form of it, and then if we feel like we want to unpack it further, we can. Does that sound good? Okay, let's start with the short form. Sharon, I'm going to kick you off the stage again.
Beaei, the climate is heating and the tropics are going to be no longer habitable. And I'm not inviting you to the habitable northern latitudes because.
Tim, you jerk, you're not inviting me because?
No, resources are limited. We got to draw the line somewhere.
Well, to heck with you too. And scene.
Yeah.
Heck was a very nice response for that.
Yeah, I'm trying to beat the censors here.
Oh, right.
My AI censors will recognize that I used a cuss word, and they'll punish me horribly for it. What did you notice, Sharon?
How extreme that was.
That was very different than the other one. I admit I threw a monkey wrench in there because my indignity was so great when Tim said just because. I was like, just because, you jerk. You know, how could you say that to me?
And it was just the whole thing. What Tim was saying was, you're not worth saving or whatever. Not in my opinion at the moment or something. He just said, forget you in this life and death situation. Oh,
you thought I was talking about the holiday party?
No, you said nobody's going to be able to live out, north, south of the equator or south, and I'm not north, you north.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It was kind of an extreme example, but
that's okay. I mean, you asked my reaction, and that's how I was seeing it, and it was impactful.
It was violent. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny. You know, you're reminding me of. There's a website for locals in Boulder, Colorado. I'll share this tab. It's called "Stay Out of My Namaste Space," and it was inspired by somebody in Boulder who overheard somebody else say to somebody, "Stay out of my namaste space," and
that's great.
And so there's this website, like for instance, it's of all the goofy things people hear in Boulder, Colorado, rich people should stop building museums, build a water slide. Yeah. So anyhow, I wanted to share that a little bit because we're talking about this. That I was reminded of that. that like there was a sense here of like Tim seeming like this person who's like very high-minded, but who's like, you're not good enough to be with our high-minded company. I'm sorry.
It's been on my mind. So it's a thing out there, and I'm not sure how to engage it with the grace of dignity, but maybe we can figure that out.
Yeah, should we
Tim,
now?
I want
Yeah,
to
go
ask
ahead.
a quick question of Tim. Did you also, because my memory, did you also say we got to draw the line somewhere?
Something like that, yeah.
And you know that's all included here somehow or another, potentially. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and it's like very offensive to somebody to say like, you got to draw the line somewhere. You're the line. Sorry, you're on the wrong side of it.
Absolutely.
Very
I think that's going to be the new thing pretty soon. I mean, it's already, but it seems like a thing. Yeah.
It's going to become more spoken about, or more,
more explicit in your face. Yeah.
And more extreme.
Okay, so what do we go? So what do folks? Let's look back at the 10 elements of dignity, because you know Sharon's 4 minutes out now to the hour. What elements of dignity could we use to try to? What can we do about this, right? So somebody does that. What's some ways that we might try to use dignity to interact with this?
You could give me the benefit of the doubt to say, Tim, I know you're trying to conserve resources, but there's no way to behave.
Yeah, right. But you know where I really draw the line is at my life.
Yes.
And right below it says safety. Here's a huge example of lack of safety.
Yeah.
Safety for a few. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Safety for some.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So okay. So let's think about this, right? So, because there's also this piece here as well, right? That like my dignity is being violated in a lot of ways, and that if I'm feeling this, you know, it's even very, very possible that like I have to take a deep breath and walk away, right? Like it could just be that I take a deep breath and I walk away. I call it off, as Loretta Ross would say. And that's not an unreasonable response to this, right? When somebody does something that's so dehumanizing, right? And so I can understand the complexity of that. Let's ask ourselves though. Okay, so what you said, well, so maybe in this case, I think maybe one thing we can do is do a role play where I stand up to you a little bit, even while I protect your dignity. Do we want to try that maybe?
I think that's a great idea. Yeah, I was just wondering, what could you do to protect dignity? Like, could you acknowledge what I was saying and ask me to explain more? Because we've done that before, you know, where you're really calling me in.
Right. Because yeah, one element is to acknowledge you and call you in. Another element could be to speak to your own inclusion, to speak to my to try to give you the benefit of the doubt, and then I can either give you the space to explain, or I can share how it made me feel hearing all that, and try to contrast that against the importance of our relationship. Should I try maybe both of them and do the first version where I think you said the first version, Tim, is where I try to acknowledge you and listen, right? Should we do that version? And then we'll do a version where I try to challenge you a little bit more, even as I'm acknowledging. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, let's try that. And Sharon, do you think you're going to need, it's now 3:00. Should you get off now? Or do you want to stay just a couple more minutes?
Well, I have something I want to say, and I didn't want to interrupt your process, so I'm waiting.
No, go ahead. Why don't you say it now?
Okay. I seem to always find myself seeing things politically, or often, and this exclusion that we just were talking about. A lot of it's a lot of the cause of what's going on here. It's already happening, is what I'm trying to say here. A whole lot of this mess we're in the midst of is all around exclusion.
Yeah.
Heartbreaking. Lots of stuff is heartbreaking to me these days. Okay.
That's right.
Sorry, should I have followed our container and asked for permission before bringing up such a violent expression of reality?
No, I don't think so. No, I it's very enlightening, very informative, very interesting, very topical.
Okay.
And so on. So I don't, not from, in my opinion, no.
Don't mean to trigger. Yeah.
No, everything triggers me. That's all. It wasn't you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good consideration, Tim. Thanks. Thanks for considering that.
Yeah. Okay, so now I'm taking off and see you guys soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Sharon. It's been so. Do you want to share any last thoughts here? What's that?
I mean, I'm happy to watch the next one if you want me to, also. But
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because I just shared that thought. I probably will come up with more thoughts because it happens.
Yeah, of course. Well, we look forward to having you on more, and this was a real treat having you here today. Thank you so much, Sharon.
Thank you. Am I going to watch the next thing? I'm willing to have to do that. I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Do you need the link for the next part? I guess you're saying.
No, if when you're ready to leave, you can just push the leave studio, the X.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Otherwise, stay as long as you like.
Yeah, stay as long as you want. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take you off the stage, and do you want me to leave you off the stage when we're done?
Unless I have something to say, you'll hear from me.
Okay. If I see, raise your hand if you need to say something. Okay.
And you'll be able to see that.
Yeah, I'll see that. Okay, cool.
If you're still here, we're bringing it back on.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Okay, so inclusion.
So we're going to do two versions of it. The first version is going to be where there's going to be two versions of it, and the first version is going to be the one we were talking about, where I acknowledge you, acknowledge what you're saying. Was that it? No, I say, tell me more about that, right? Like I acknowledge what you're saying, and then I say, tell me more about that, right? So like a very conventional call-in.
This is take 3, version 3.
Yeah, I can add that. Hold on, I'll put up a little banner of that right here.
This was after adding specificity to part A.
Yeah, just adding, well, and also adding, we added like a very...
This is inclusion, take 3.
Oh, you're right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, let me put this back up.
Ready?
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Beaei. The planet is heating and resources are scarce, and I'm not inviting you to the north where where it'll be habitable. Okay?
So you're not going to invite me to the north where it's habitable as the planet heats. Tell me more about that, Tim.
Well, you seem to have lived such a privileged life and a full life. And you have so much going for you that I thought you might want to give someone else a chance.
Tim, I'm noticing here that you're saying that I should maybe give somebody else a chance, and I hear that I've had a good life, and so that's your basis, and I can understand your logic. Your logic makes sense to me on an intellectual level. But let's, Tim, we've been friends for a long time, and I really care about you, and I hope that we can stay in each other's lives. But I want to ask you, like, I feel a little bit awkward about it. Like, I'm not saying that you're a bad friend or I hate you. I really treasure your friendship. But when I hear you say that, I just feel awful because it feels like I could die, and that's not very important.
I know, and we could end the scene now, but I could go
Yeah,
on also.
Let's see. Let's see if Sharon's in the audience. Okay, I don't see any hands raised, but oh no, okay, I do. Go ahead.
I gotta draw the line somewhere. And then, what did I want to say? Oh, shoot. I was curious why Beaei wasn't in her response saying, how about you, Tim? You have also lived a full life, so why don't we talk about that?
That's where I was going to go next.
That was a new twist. Yeah, I didn't necessarily expect the twist right away because it added another level to it. So I actually was able to combine what would have been take 4 with take 3 in that. What did you all notice in how I responded to Tim?
You gave me a lot of openness to try to explain myself,
and very humanly. Beaei, I mean, you're. I mean, this was heavy stuff.
It was disgusting, yeah.
And it was somebody that you valued. It was, but you just sort of, I think the impression I was getting from seeing you doing it was almost so shocking, for lack of a better word, but you just sort of went inside and responded from being the human that you are, which is, can you tell me more? And I'm hearing what you're saying, but you were very sad about it, but still interacting and direct, and if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. There was a sense, right, that I said after Tim explained himself, right? I said, Tim, I deeply value your friendship, and I consider you a dear friend, or something to that effect. And I said, like, I'm not trying to frustrate you or put you down, but also, when you said this, it really hurt, and I felt like you weren't caring about my safety, or something to that effect. I don't know if it came off as eloquently as that, but what elements of dignity do we bring in this, would you say?
You gave me some kind of acceptance of the monster I was acting like.
You acknowledged what he was saying.
Mm-hmm. I also oh, go ahead.
Your understanding.
His understanding.
Gave him the benefit of the doubt.
I definitely gave Tim the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes in activism, this is true on the left and right, there's always people who, don't care about the ends and the means relationship, right? Like, and we all know somebody who we might even care a lot about, but who sometimes dehumanizes people in that way, right? Like, it's actually not such an outlandish example, especially in activist spaces, to meet somebody who maybe is so in their head that they don't realize people's humanity. Are there any other ones that we could think of that I invoked? Did we say inclusion?
Yeah.
You said inclusion.
You valued me as a friend, so you were including me in your friendship circle still?
Yeah.
I was waiting for the but.
I was still expecting accountability, though. I wasn't giving up accountability in that. I think sometimes people and I think of this with Donna Hicks when she was leading the mediations between Palestinians and Israelis. And she said this was critical to their breakthrough, that one of the graduate students came up with the idea, conventionally in a mediation, each side says what they would need for them to forgive the other side. And Hicks actually argues that forgiveness is not the most important thing. You don't have to forgive each other to have a meaningful dignity mediation. You don't have to forgive each other. Maybe you never can, and maybe that's okay. But the thing that she pointed out was that this graduate student proposed, well, okay, usually people say what they want. What if we asked the Palestinians and the Israelis to each say what they could do for the other side that they know matters for them? And so, for instance, the Palestinians said, we know that the Israelis find it really frustrating when our textbooks or our schools use stereotypes of Israelis. And we could talk to our community members about that and say that's unacceptable. And in the same way, the Israelis said, well, we know that the Palestinians really hate going to border checks and having their humanity violated and their dignity violated, right? And so we know that, and we don't want to let that happen anymore. We don't want their humanity and their dignity to keep getting violated in this way. And it turned out to be a very, very successful mediation that brought a lot of people together who conventionally wouldn't be inclined to be brought together in such a way. So I want to bring that up in light of this, that very often in a mediation situation, one side says the other side is not fit to negotiate with unless they agree to X. But if you start off from that perspective, you may not get anything. So we're here and we're talking about dignity. And are there any last thoughts before we wind up around this? Is there anything else we'd want to try on this or attempt?
I'm going to have to go. I know maybe I stayed because you're about to wrap up, but I'm just.
No, you're good, Sharon. Okay. You're all good.
Feeling like I need to nurse my broken.
Well, no, we're wrapping up anyway. So thank you so much
for wrapping up.
Thank you so much, Sharon.
And thank you guys for all the work you do.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Thank you for being so game to join us.
I'm using guys again. It's generic. I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's all right. It's all right.
Thank you for coming and being part of this. You made a big difference.
Yeah, thank you.
Matt, too.
And for anybody who's in our audience watching right now, thank you for coming out to this. If you enjoyed this and you found it useful, feel free to sign up at our other sessions. I'm going to put in our chat codewhatever.us. This is a link to our website. Let me just share it with you briefly. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, for being here today. Here's our website. Let me pull this up. And so this is our website, and feel free to visit our website. We have online coding lessons every week on Thursdays typically. And this has been moved to 10 a.m. Central, but we have our human rights learning too, which is now the dignity trainings. And if you enjoyed our work here today, I'm going to put in the chat here a link to our PayPal Giving Fund account where you can donate to us. Every donation really, really helps us out a lot, and eventually will help us be able to train and scale more teachers. So feel free to donate, help us out. The link is in the chat. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out today. Are there any last thoughts from you, Tim? How was today for you?
It was great. I feel like after all that's going on, to sort of increase the contention in the world and the polarization, that this is taking head on the violations of dignity from the top, and so we're like the wave of resistance, and this is building of a revolution, a nonviolent. This is the sort of the groundwork for laying the groundwork. This is the work that lays the groundwork for a nonviolent revolution. So we can totally build a better world based on dignity.
Yeah.
If we know how to view the world and all of our relationships through the lens of these 10 elements. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so much power for us all to heal this way and to make the world in a much less violent, much more loving image. The image of dignity, of humanity, and of love. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for holding space.
Yeah, I love it here. This is such a great space to share with everyone. And thank you so much for coming out here today, for daring to step out on the stage and improvise with us, to stick your neck out. And thank you, everyone.
It's fun.
Yeah, right? This is great. Thank you, everyone, for coming out, for tuning in. Feel free to donate. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We do all this work out of love. And we're very, very grateful for every opportunity we get to do this work. So thank you.
Don't forget to join us next time and practice your dignity roles.
Yes, go to
Comes in handy for work.
Yeah, by the way, yeah, you could be on one of these shows if you practice with us. So practice with us and join us. Thank you so much, everyone.